So I don't even know, I'm going to put the visor down. I don't even know if you could hear me. You're definitely going to be hearing the bike on the external cam. But I have no idea if you can hear me. So as you can tell, this muffler does not have a baffle, it doesn't have a dB killer. And it's a little bit on the loud side. It does get a lot of attention. Mainly from teenage boys who think it's unreal. And want me to pop a mono, at least two. So pretty much everything on this bike needs to be tightened up on a regular basis, and I plan on going through it with a bit of medium grip Loctite. I have plans to do a lot of things, but today I just fitted new indicators, because the actual old indicators, which were new ones fitted not that long ago, but they were Chinese LED ones, they vibrated, the nuts vibrated loose and kind of threaded, which was weird. I couldn't tighten it up. So they were just no good. So I actually want to put them back on because they're pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with the lights. I've just got to either sort of check the threads out and see what's going on there, and see what I can do to make it a nice tight fit. This is just a short ride. I'm actually just going to the bike shop to have a look at another bike, because I'm a sick man and I need help. And I normally just use this bike to cruise down to the beach, or go to the gym, or go to the shops. It's just my local little commuter. And I bought it with the intention of being a commuter, and soon realised how impractical a commuter it is. Now don't get me wrong, I'm going to talk about it on another video, probably the ins and outs of having a WR450 as a commuter, and you could definitely do it, because they're absolutely brilliant bikes. But this particular bike is not set up for the road. So the guy that had it before was sort of well, kind of do-it-yourself guy, and he bodgied everything up on this, and he I don't know, the guy was older than me, older as the hills, and he said he raced it, or that I can't remember what he said, but he kind of said he'd done a bit of racing with it, and then he had it on the road for a while, and he was, look, let's just call it a spade. He's a pretty suspicious, unusual guy, to say the least. So when I got it, and I first rode it, and I'd only been riding for a few months, And I really wanted to commute. I didn't have a bike. I wanted to zip to work. You know, I'd got the bug. I didn't want to go back to finding a car space, finding a park. You know, and this seemed like the size. I did a little bit of research about it. I didn't know anything about WR450s. I didn't know their reputation. I didn't know what people thought of them. I just knew that it was a beginner legal, learner legal bike. I had no idea that it was the weapon that it is. So when I rode it, being the big kid that I am, with a big grin on my face, and all the impracticalities went out the window. I thought this was just a ton of fun. But it was just totally impractical for my needs. It was way too loud. It's one of those impulse emotional purchases which I'm well aware that I'm prone to doing that, and I've changed my buying strategy since, but it's in the blood. And you check out my other channel, you'll see why everything we do is based around emotions. So I don't know if you're hearing any of this, but it's so freaking loud. This bike is so loud, it's ridiculous. I don't know, I think this actually rivals my V-Star for decibels. And I did order a dB killer from eBay, which was was meant to be the right diameter, but ended up not being. It was just a couple of mil off, but a couple of mil with steel it doesn't go anywhere. So yet to be determined what I do with that. I'll actually talk to these guys here and see if they've got any dB killers in stock, because they actually worked on this bike. And that'll be another story telling you how much money I actually spent on this bike. So it's a green light up there. I'd normally go round, because this bike does not like to idle. Doesn't like to stop. Likes to keep going. But it is a very, very quick bike. Not built for top end, not set up for top end. Absolutely set up to get off the line. So I test rode the bike. And it was awesome. I've got to say, I loved it. I don't know why I went round the block there. I thought I was going to go right. So after being on the V-Strom, this seems amazingly light, and it is an amazingly light bike when you think about it. Even this older steel frame, I think it's only 120 kilos. And the newer ones are like, 110 kilos, drop 10 kilos, change into a sort of the aluminium frame or the alloy frame. But yeah, the V-Strom, I'm sold on it. I think they're an absolutely brilliant bike. I wish I had recorded the test ride, but he kind of just sprung it on me. I didn't think he was going to let me test ride it, but I've been a customer for a while, so he just said take it for a spin. He had the keys. it's just so smooth. I probably haven't, I know I haven't ridden a bike that smooth. This channel's all about beginner bikes and I guess your budget bikes, and for the price that he's asking, and he's doing the deal for me for, it's a great bike. Like will I have to sell this bike? Probably. You know, I'm not in a financial position to just buy a stream of bikes at the moment and maintain them. It's not so much buying the bikes. You can buy a bike, you get a good deal, you can buy a bike, but you've got to maintain it. And then maintaining is what costs you a bit. I've got to say, this bike is definitely for the teenage boy in me, you know what I mean? It's, if we do pass any teenage boys around the age of 15 and up, you always get the twist of the throttle. They want you to cop a wheelie, which you know, I'm not doing on the road. I'm not a 48-year-old man who's going to get a ticket for hoon riding or anything like that, but you know, it gets attention and it has its market. So where it's done its job. It's just rough. It's got dirt tyres on it. You know, you can get dual purpose tyres on it, but this bike is loud, it's obnoxious, it's rough. You probably can't tell because I've got the Hyper Smooth on the camera, but you know, after a while of riding, even on the smoothest of roads, your hands tend to get numb pretty quickly. It's like you're on a massage machine for your hands. It's zippy, it's quick. I'd say it's a pretty easy bike to ride. For the amount of power it's got, and for the size, it's got a lot of power. And they do class it as a beginner bike, and it is learner legal in Australia. But would I recommend it as the first bike that you ever get if you've never ridden a bike before? No. If you get it wrong on the throttle, it's not that forgiving. You know, you can pretty much lift the front wheel in most gears on this bike if you're reckless, and that's not what I want to do when I'm on the road negotiating traffic. I'm not the guy that's on one wheel dancing on the back doing all sorts of tricks for 1 minute of fame on Instagram, you know what I mean? It's not for me. But if that's the kind of person you are, then this bike's for you. You know what I mean? It's a real... The price I got it for was pretty good. Pretty good. Now I'm going to tell you the full story on this bike. I'll go walk around and tell you the full story. But if I had the time when I got this bike to do all the work myself that had to be done to it when I bought it, it would have been a fantastic deal, and I'd probably be making a bit of money on it selling it. As it is now, it's one of those situations where I bought the bike and it sat. I probably rode it home, I rode it around the block a couple of times, realised everything that was wrong with it. So it was a 40-minute ride home. 40-minute ride home in the rain, mind you. I soon got to know all the issues with the bike. It had, least of which it was the idle was right up, or it was stalling. There was some issues with it. And I will do another video saying all the problems I had with the bike and how much it cost to have a professional fix it, because I didn't fix any of it myself. I gave it a go, being my own bike. I wanted it to be safe, I wanted it to be roadworthy, didn't want to have any issues with the bike at all, and so I gave it to those guys that I just, Eastern Motorcycles, and I gave them a bucket full of parts, all the stuff that I tried to do myself and messed up. So it did cost me a bit of money, and I'm not saying that, and I will break down, I'll do another video with the exact invoice and all the things that had to be done to the bike. But you live and learn, right? It's not life unless you take a couple of risks, and if you're riding a motorbike, well, you're taking risks. But there are calculated risks. So I didn't do my research, and I learned a lot of lessons buying my first bike, just like I did many, many years ago buying my first car. You make mistakes, but you make them once, hopefully. So the bike I just looked at was the opposite of this, the absolute opposite in every way, except it can go off-road. It's a twin cylinder motor. It's a lot smoother than this. It's being single cylinder. This is a sort of a high compression sort of performance dirt bike, I guess. This guy's way over. But for things like that, this bike's the best. For getting through traffic, I put this bike up against anything. And that's what I've been doing, just doing short commutes, and I'd put this bike up against pretty much anything on the road for a short commute. What would I change on this bike? I'd change the exhaust for starters. It was fun for about 5 minutes when I did the test ride, and look, it gets some attention. It is, I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not a fun bike, and that's what it's designed for. The guy that had it before, it was registered, but it was a fun bike, and he just chopped into it and he just wanted to have some cheap fun, and I understood that. What he could have done was be more upfront with certain things that the bike needed, and hey, I may have still have bought the bike. I probably would have, to tell you the truth. I was really taken with how it performed, and so the only other bike I'd ridden, or I was riding at the time, was my mate's WR450, which is a great bike as well, but it didn't ride like this. This thing is geared and set up and just to take off like a rocket. So the big kid in me is like, ooh, I feel the need for speed, even if it's just getting to the speed limit, you know what I mean? But in saying that, I've used it as much as I can since I got it back from the shop. So I've used it pretty much every day because I wanted to get the smiles for my dollars, you know what I mean? So it would have been a tragedy if I bought this bike, it sat there for months, I spend money to get it fixed and I don't enjoy it. But I really do feel that the best place to enjoy this bike is on the dirt, on trails. And that's the only reason I'd consider keeping this, which is one of the things that I thought about when I bought it was, you know, I don't really want to be in the, I don't really want to be the guy. I don't have time, because I had a different career back then, and I don't have time to be selling bikes, and I don't want to do, I knew what a hassle it was to buy a bike, and I just didn't want a hassle didn't want the hassle to sell it. So obviously I'll buy a bike that I can use on the road, a dual sport, and then I'll just keep it as a dirt bike and have the occasional weekend fun, and you know, just stop registering that and just keep it as a, you know, trail bike, which is the plan. You know, I still do believe this is a good bike, and from all research, this is an 05 model. They got a lot of the bugs out that they had from the earlier models, and it's got a lot of the features that the later models had. So I'm at the gym.
Thanks for watching, guys, and if you want to check out more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this vid too, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you next time. Ride safe.